Hi, I'm nobody. Nobody important. That doesn't matter. I don't want to start a ministry in my name. I don't want to have a large ministry that I pass on to my kids. I just used to do Bible studies in my home, and now I decided I wanted to read the Bible again, and I decided this time I would do it on YouTube to share it with those of you who can't come into my home. So this is your way of coming into my home, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope we all learn from it, and I hope we all grow. And um, I hope this goes well and is blessed by God. So I'm going to use the NIV Study Bible. First of all, I wanted to say that I know we're supposed to have answers when people ask us. That's what we're always taught in church, right? We're always supposed to have the answers to everything. Well, how can we have the answers to everything when we weren't giving the answers to everything? So that's not really correct. We need to have the answers why we believe what we believe, but we don't need to have the answers to every question they have. We ourselves have questions that aren't answered. The way I like to see it is if all the knowledge in the world was put in books, in an encyclopedia set, we're only given one book out of that set, and the book we're given has to do with the earth, uh, pretty much the beginning and the end of the earth. Not actually the exact beginning, because when we read this, you'll see it talks about how the earth was without form. So there already was an earth somehow. I'm not going to try to explain these things, but what I'm saying is the book we have has to do with our earth. Okay? Um, it sometimes talks about God, but the book is not about the beginning and ending of God, which there is none. It's not about God. It's about us and our earth. Okay? So when people ask questions about God that's not in this book, we can't answer those. When people ask us about the devil, this book isn't about the devil. This book's about the earth. So we can't give the answers on everything about the devil. We're given a little bit of knowledge about God, and a little bit of knowledge about the devil, and a little bit of knowledge about the angels, and a little bit of knowledge about heaven, and a little bit of knowledge about hell in the book, but only a little bit. We don't have those books. We can't answer those questions. We have the book on the Bible. We have the book that has to do with the earth. Okay, I hope that helps you out. All right, I'm going to use the NIV Study Bible, and I'm going to first tell you why I use the NIV. When I first got saved, I had no idea what Bible to buy. I didn't know there were different Bibles. I went to the store, the Christian bookstore, and I said, hey, I need a Bible. So the gentleman pointed me over to a wall, and I thought I was just going to run and buy a Bible and run out. But he pointed me over to a wall, and there were tons of different Bibles. And I had no idea what to get. And I asked him, what do I get? And he said, well, it all depends. If you're Catholic, you get this, or you get this, or if you're so-and-so, you get that, or maybe you want a study Bible, or maybe you want this, or maybe you want that. I don't know if there was hundreds of choices or thousands of choices. I just knew I had no clue what to choose. I had never heard of the different versions of the Bible. I had only heard of the King James Version, and I had already tried to read that, and it wasn't in my language. I couldn't understand it. So I said a prayer. I said, God, just lead me to whichever one you want me to have. That doesn't mean this is the one that he wants you to have. I'm not going to say that, but he led me to, I believe he led me to, I picked out the NIV Study Bible. I love it. It's really opened up God's Word to me, because like I said, I tried the King James Version, and I couldn't understand anything. Well, not much. I read all the Old Testament. I was about 12 years old. And I read all the Old Testament. When I got to the New Testament, I didn't even know there was a difference between Old Testament and New Testament. When I got to the New Testament, and I just closed it and said, God, I haven't understood a word I've read so far. So I'm not going to continue until I can understand it. Then as an adult, I became ill, and that's when I got saved, and that's when I went to find myself a Bible, and that's when I got this. So I just want to read it and maybe now and then interject some things. Let's just see how it goes. Like I said, I do this for myself. I've done this in home Bible studies, and so I'd like to do it now and give you the opportunity of enjoying it too. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. Genesis. I don't want to give you all the background information. I'm not sure they're right about it, so I'm just going to read it. Okay? Genesis chapter 1. I'm not going to just read it. Every now and then I'm going to throw in my 2 cents, which I don't even know is worth 2 cents. But Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. Did you notice that? The first day started with evening. There was evening, and then there was morning, the first day. If I'm not mistaken, that's how the Jewish calendar is. That's how it is even today in Israel. I believe they start their days in the evening. So there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters, to separate water from water." So God made the expanse and separated the water under the expanse from the water above it. And it was so. God called the expanse sky. There was evening, and there was morning, the second day. Okay, this is where I like to throw in, let's go back. Since we now know the expanse is sky, I'd like to read it and put in the word sky. And God said, "Let there be sky between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the sky and separated the water under the sky from the water above it. And it was so. Interesting, isn't it? So, water above the sky? Is he talking about clouds, which is actually water in the sky? I don't know. Verse 9. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Verse 11. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it, according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. For those of you who don't understand, when it says plants bearing seed according to its kind, it means, say, an apple. An apple has apple seeds in it. It doesn't have orange seeds in it. All that it means is that it will produce its own kind. So that was the third day. Verse 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky, to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark seasons." Excuse me. And let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years. And let them be lights in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. Interesting, isn't it? We already know the expanse is the sky, and he's saying he wants lights in the sky. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. Sounds like the sun and the moon, right? So if they're in the sky, in the expanse, that makes me think that there's water on the other side somewhere. That's how I read it. He also made the stars. God set them in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. So did you catch it? The expanse has the moon, the sun, and the stars. When we go back to what we learned before, the expanse is separating water from above and water from below. So I have no reason not to believe that there's water above somewhere. So that kind of, to me, throws away the cloud theory, because the stars, aren't between the clouds and us. And the moon and the sun is not between the clouds and us. See what I'm saying? So I believe from this that there must be water on the other side, somewhere up there. And, excuse me, and God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. Okay, well, we had vegetation before. That was the third day. Then we got the lights, the fourth day. And now here is the fifth day. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And this fifth day is when we received the living creatures, well, the earth received it, and the birds. And he told them to be fruitful and increase in number. All right, verse 24. And God said, let the land produce living creatures. Okay, so he took care of the waters first. That was on the fifth day. Now we're into the sixth day. And God said that the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was good. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Doesn't that make you wonder? He doesn't say about just creating the animals, but he specifically separates. He created the livestock and the creatures that move along the ground. Livestock. To me, that means animals to eat. Maybe animals like beasts of burden to help with the vegetation. At this time, we're not growing vegetation, though. At this time, humans aren't even created yet. But God knows he's going to create us. So he's preparing a place for us. You'll hear that again. And God saw that it was good. Okay. Then we go to verse 26. Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, He created them. Interesting. Now, one thing that had been pointed out to me, which I find really interesting, is up to that point, he talks about what he did, what he said, and it was so. But this is the first time we hear the word created. I'm going to start at verse 27 again. So God created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them. Verse 28. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." He put us in charge of everything. The fish, the birds, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Okay, verse 29. Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it." I love vegetables and fruit, so that sounds good to me. "They will be yours for food." So every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree with fruit that has fruit with seed in it, was given to us for food. "And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to reread that and think about it. It sounds to me like every living thing, everything that has the breath of life in it, was supposed to be a vegetarian originally. Okay, I say originally because there will be something that comes up. Okay, but let me read that again. Think about it. He doesn't say He gives us the animals for food. Okay. Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. Verse 31. God saw all that He had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. That's chapter 1. Hope you enjoyed it.